And you have the opportunity to do it in your relationship, where you really begin to honor this request for emotional connection first. I want to feel safe. I want to feel accepted. I want to feel close to you. Hello, you gorgeous and sexy creature. Welcome to Practice Intimacy. This is the place to be to learn all about love, sex, and how to have the best relationships you possibly can. My name is Jami Lynn. I am a marriage and family therapist. And what I want to talk to you about today is this idea that is so common. And when you hear me say it, you're gonna be like, oh, yes, I know. Either I've been through that or so many couples who go through that. There is a dynamic that happens around sexuality where a couple can get into this place where one person is saying, I need more emotional intimacy in order to want to be sexual with you. And the other person is saying, I need more sex with you in order to feel emotionally connected. How maddening is that? But this actually happens a lot. This is a really common pattern. This is a really common, I think of it almost like as a standoff that people get into, where it's really an impasse. I'm wanting one thing, you're wanting another thing. The things that we want conflict. What do we do? Let's be real, that happens in relationship constantly. This is the biggest thing that's happening in relationship most of the time. I want something, you want something else. How are we both gonna figure this out so that we're happy and not arguing about it, not blaming each other for not getting the thing we want? How do we figure this out? But when it comes to sex, here's the thing. Both are right. The person who wants more intimacy in order to feel desire to be sexually connected, they're right. The person who wants to have sex in order to feel more emotionally connected, they're right too. Both parties are correct. And you could navigate this all kinds of ways. I have seen couples get so creative in the ways that they meet each other's needs. Sometimes it looks like, okay, we're gonna plan these intimacy dates where on the weeks that you're in charge of the intimacy date, we'll start with some kind of emotional connection, and then we'll move into being sexual. And then on the weeks where other partner is in charge, we're going to start with doing sexual things, and we'll end with something that feels more emotionally connected. That's just one example. I've seen people come up with so many different ways to really figure this out. But what I want to talk to you about today is a perspective on this that you might have feelings about it. We'll see. You might agree, you might disagree. You can tell me in the comments. I would love to hear what you think as you're listening to me explain my thoughts on this one. But what I believe is that leaning into the partner who's craving emotional intimacy is a good option. Is it the only option? No. Is it the best option? Maybe sometimes, but not always. But it is a good option. Here's why. First, for the last 10,000 years, white culture in particular, and white culture has now touched almost every other culture in the world because of colonization. So many humans on this planet are now affected by this, but it started with white culture. White culture, for the last 10,000 years, has been leaning more and more into left mode processing. So I'm talking about brain processing right now, neuroscience. They're leaning more and more into left mode processing, which has to do with being really logical, being really rational, being really in your head, rather than being in your feelings, being in your body. Those are more right mode processing. And let me be clear, you need your whole brain to be a whole human. We want all hemispheres firing, you want both hemispheres firing, as well as all of the nerves that communicate to those hemispheres. You want to be a whole-brained person. And part of how you get there is noticing, where does our culture lean? And if you live in North America, like I do, I live in the United States, then you live in a left-leaning culture, a culture that is all about productivity and increasing output and having the right answers and learning all of the different skills and like being really productive and using yourself and others as tools to get to an outcome, rather than what is more right mode processing, being in connection with all of the planet, being in connection with your body, being in more emotional states, being in openness to whatever, not just trying to get to a certain outcome. So, if that sounds familiar, you probably live in a left mode processing culture. It's likely. Most of us do at this point. And when we're in that space, we're not as interested in feelings. We're not as interested in being vulnerable. We're not as interested in connection even. Left mode processing is more about reaching a goal than trying to be in connected states, which are not goal-oriented, but really good for us. We are communal creatures. We're meant to be in connection. It's actually strange to be living in a world, at least evolutionarily speaking, the way that our biology has evolved over the last 2 million years. It's actually odd to be in such a driven, high production, goal-oriented culture all of the time. And so, rather than focusing on this kind of goal-oriented, thoughtful, less body-connected, which you're going to be confused maybe, I'll explain what I mean by less body-connected space of let's have sex to get to emotion, I think it's a good idea to go emotion first. Let's be connected and then have sex. So why do I say that it's not really connected to your body? The reason I say that, even though like the sexual desire might be in your body, when we're looking for intimacy, when we're really looking for intimacy, that is not just sex, especially if you're doing this with a partner. You're looking for connection. And you can have sex without connection. You could get your partner to have sex with you, and if they're not feeling connected because they're not emotionally there, then you're not going to get the experience you want either. Not if you're wanting true intimacy. If you're just wanting to get off, sure, you can do that. But is that really what you want? I doubt it. I really doubt it. For most people, for most couples I see, that is not what they're looking for. They're looking for closeness. They're looking for love. They're looking for that sense of being held in acceptance by another human that cares about them. So from a neuroscience perspective, from a let's heal our planet rather than continuing to lean really far into left mode processing, I'm of the mind, go emotion first. The other reason why I would suggest leaning into connecting emotionally first is, and this is not always true, but I would say generally, oftentimes, the majority of times, this is true. It is a female partner who is requesting more emotional intimacy and a male partner who's requesting to have sex and then feel emotional intimacy. Women have been oppressed for thousands of years, and coming into a space where we really begin to honor their experience of what feels good in intimacy, rather than continuing to lean into what has been the more masculine way and what has been really damaging historically to our mothers and sisters and aunts and grandmas, where if the man wants to have sex, she better have sex, otherwise she's a bad wife. I think it's really important to start deconstructing all of those old narratives, and you have the opportunity to do it in your relationship, where you really begin to honor this request for emotional connection first. I want to feel safe. I want to feel accepted. I want to feel close to you. I want to feel engaged with you. And then hot, passionate sex will follow. So, this might be a little bit of a controversial, it's really not coming out well. I'm not sure if I'm even saying the word right, but you know what I'm trying to say. It might be a controversial idea. I don't know. tell me your thoughts. I would love to hear your comments. Tell me what you think about this. And remember to like this video, please. Send this to friends if you think they could benefit from it. Send it to your partner if you think they could benefit from it. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.